absolutely delighted today to welcome Simon Gamewell from our long-established partners, TAP. Thanks and praise. And Simon will no doubt be able to talk a little bit about TAP first of all, before he launches into the rest of the day, which is the power of gratitude and so on when we're working with our people. I think this is a lovely topic. I mean, I've had quite a tough week myself, and I'm quite looking forward, Simon, just to recharging my batteries, listening to you talking about this very, very positive topic. So without further ado, may I hand over to you, please? Thank you.
Certainly. Right, I need to share my screen again, don't I? I'm Simon from TAP, or Thank and Praise. And first of all, for those who don't know, Thank and Praise is a social thanking platform. It gives people the opportunity to thank workers, especially in the education, healthcare, and of course, social care sectors. We've been going since 2019, and when COVID hit, we really realised that gratitude is important. We had the clap for carers and everything, and you can see that there's me on the what we call the Tapmobile. Just after lockdown, I did a bit of a journey. I went from Liverpool to Skegness on my mobility scooter, which was quite an adventure, and called in at care homes and hospitals and schools all the way across the country, spreading gratitude. Just to give you a little bit of background on me, prior to working with TAP, I worked in education for about 20 years. I'm English teacher around Southeast Asia and stuff. And in Asia, gratitude is a really big part of the culture, whether it's children or adults. At the end of every class, that all the students stand up and say, "Oh, thank you, teacher," and they go on their way. And so sort of conditioned gratitude, but there was also individual gratitude as well, which for me was always more important. When a student came up to me after a class and asked me, "Oh, teacher, thank you so much." In fact, I had one student who ended up going to university in Brighton and now lives in Los Angeles. And he was always very grateful, always said I was the greatest teacher in the world ever. And you can see, even had the Superman t-shirt to go with it. Then in 2016, everything changed. I was working in China and I had a life-changing accident. I fell from a 6-story balcony onto a tree and then onto a highway, and I broke my back in about 7 places, which put me in a wheelchair and got me back to England. And then when Matt asked me to join TAP in 2020, I was absolutely delighted. I thought that's a really good opportunity for me to spread gratitude even further, which is kind of what I've been doing. So we're going to be talking, I'm going to go right back to the basics, but just so we're all on the same page. So we're talking about well-being and workforce well-being. But well-being has lots of different definitions, but basically it's talking about practices of behavior that lead to positive emotions, that lead us to feel that our actions are validated, and that that we have life satisfaction through them. And a really big part of well-being is really mindfulness. And just so we're once again, so we're all on the same page, mindfulness is really, the dictionary says it's a mental stage that's achieved by focusing our awareness on the present moment, while accepting that we have feelings and thoughts and bodily sensations. But it's often used in therapy. If we have a mental problem, it's always good to be grounded in the present. There are lots of different techniques in mindfulness. For example, we have things like meditation, all about remaining in the present and separating ourselves from the stresses and the anxiety of the future, depression relating to the past. It's all about being fixed in the present moment. There are other practices of mindfulness as well, like getting out into nature, which is another good way of forgetting about everything else and just focusing on the present moment. And that leads to better self-care. Often, if we're being mindful, we're thinking about our own health and our own happiness as well. And another example of that is yoga. But what I really want to talk about is how mindfulness connects to gratitude, because there are lots mindfulness and music as well, that they perform a very similar role. For example, if we're being grateful, it isolates and frames a particular moment in time. That one moment where someone was good to us and we want to be good to them in return. It really frames that moment in time. It gives you the chance to look at the situation more objectively. We can see, yeah, we were grateful, and we can take a step back from the situation, which helps with our own self-awareness and where we fit into the whole scheme of things with the world and everything. And yeah, it really connects us to other people. When we're grateful to someone, we reinforce that connection. It strengthens and builds stronger relationships. And it fires up the pro-social neural networks in the brain. The bits of the brain, the serotonin, the dopamine, all the really happy neural networks. It really has an effect on us as a receiver of gratitude, but also if we're giving gratitude, we really become more aware of ourselves and more aware of our situation and more aware of how people fit into that. And it promotes psychological safety. I'm going to be talking a bit more about gratitude and psychological safety later on. But all of these things, gratitude and mindfulness, they really help us to be more focused and everything. So when we think about gratitude, gratitude, we often think it's just being polite, but there's a lot more to it than that. It's always the fourth part of a four-part process, really. And the first part, we find ourselves in a difficulty. We have a situation where we need other people's help, and when someone acts kindly and resolves that difficulty, we then acknowledge that kindness, and that results in gratitude. That's how we get to gratitude. We have a difficulty, an act of kindness, we realize that someone has helped us, and then we feel gratitude. Children seek praise, children seek validation, and we teach our children to be kind and to be grateful. Often when we get to teenagers, we rebel against that. Rebel against everything our parents said. I know myself, when I was a teenager, I had a lot of problems with anything that my father said. He'd say turn left, so I'd turn right, all those sort of things. But as we get older, we realize that being grateful and living grateful are really important. Being grateful and living grateful, or practicing deep gratitude, are actually quite different. When we are grateful, it's a response to the act of kindness. But if we put gratitude at the heart of everything that we do, then we reset the balance. We make everything a bit more positive. It doesn't make the negatives go away, but it gives us a little bit more balance, because we always have a negativity bias. We're always a bit more towards the negative. So if we can practice deep gratitude, it puts us a little bit more towards the positive. And if we're practicing deep gratitude, we're actively seeking out acts of kindness in others. We're looking for reasons to be grateful. And part of that means that we expose our vulnerabilities when we're in a situation, when we accept that we need the help of others, we can show our vulnerability, and it's not a weakness. Being able to show your vulnerabilities, to be honest, it's actually a strength when we're confident that we can be that open and that transparent to other people. It makes us stronger people, and it connects us more to others. It makes us realize that we didn't get where we are without the help of someone. So someone's always there to help us, and that. I wouldn't be working for TAP if it wasn't for my friend and colleague Matt, who invited me to do that. I obviously, being in a wheelchair, there are lots of occasions when I need the help of others, and I've learned, partly through working with TAP actually, that you don't need to man up and pretend that you can do it all yourself. So sometimes the help of others is really, really important. And when we work together as a team, which is a big part of workforce wellbeing, we're stronger. We feel that we're part of something bigger. Right then, so question time. So talking about kindness and helping other people. First question. So what do we look for in other people? How do we see that other people might be struggling? And has anybody got any ideas for that?
Simon, one thing that I've always noticed is that when people put on a smile and every single time you say to them, "Are you okay?" and they say absolutely fine, that might be worth inquiring further.
Yeah, true. When we say "How are you," that people don't always tell you how they are. They said they're absolutely fine. There's body language, the way people hold themselves, but also things like changes to someone's routine. If someone's always on time and suddenly they're always late, or they always look tired, or they're trying to start conversations with you, it might be a sign that they need help, that they're struggling. And if someone is struggling, what do you think is the best way to help? Do you think you should jump right in and take the initiative, or should you ask them if they need help?
Could I say that you offer a listening ear?
Yeah. It can be that we offer that help, or we just take action. We just take the initiative. So, like I say, you can ask, do you need someone to talk to, or can I help you? With the small things, like holding the door open with someone, we just see that they're struggling, bang, open the door, and we can help them. What about ourselves? Do we find it easy to ask for help if we're struggling? As I say, I know with my wheelchair, I went to Barcelona on my own. That was my first trip in a wheelchair, and people were really friendly and helpful. And I got lost. I was looking for the Picasso Museum. I ended up going down a really steep hill, and it was so steep that I couldn't really get back to the top. So I find it very easy, certainly physically. If I need help, I'll say, "Excuse me, can you help me?" But some people find it difficult. Like I say, people put on a bit of a front and pretend that they don't need help quite often. And we also have to react to help, don't we? If someone helps us, make sure that you say thank you at the end of it, because it not only validates their actions, but it'll make you feel good as well. Expressing gratitude, as I said, really fires up the endorphins in the brain and stuff. So so you're talking the other day about psychological safety and stuff. We're going to talk about it again, and I know we all know what psychological safety is, but just in case, it's being in a situation where we feel that we can actually express our opinion without fear of negative reprisals, so we can have 360 feedback People can say what they feel, and they're not going to be shouted down. That they're not going to be criticised for expressing their opinion. And if there's bad news, we don't need to wrap it up. When we practice psychological safety, that's a really good starting point for workforce well-being. And when we create a psychologically safe, I knew I was going to struggle with that. When we create a psychologically safe environment, it makes it very easy for everyone to feel involved. And ways that we can do that. Okay. Yeah, we can introduce good management practices, having team meetings where everyone's involved, and establishing norms and practices so that there's some level of consistency there. We can also encourage more open communication, and this really helps with mindfulness, and it really helps with gratitude. If we put psychological safety at the heart of everything, we'll have a culture of gratitude. We'll be encouraging each other through the power of gratitude. And it's a good way we can show the team that we're engaged, show some empathy, make sure we understand where the other person's coming from. Yeah, so let the team know that you understand, and through psychological safety, we can avoid blaming people, and we can use it to build trust. And having a transparency, being really open, as we were saying the other day, and it helps us to become more self-aware. It helps us to realize where we are and how we fit in relation to everyone else, and it helps us to stop negativity. We're not being toxically positive, but as I say, if we're moving away from the negativity bias, we're making everything a little bit more balanced, a little bit more positive. And it means that we can include the team in decision making, make sure that the decisions that we made are actually made as a team. And why am I talking about this? Because gratitude really ties in with psychological safety. If we have a culture of gratitude, chances are we'll also have a culture of psychological safety. So yeah, gratitude opens up positive channels of communication. You can never have enough positive channels of communication, whether that's written, online, in person. The more positive channels of communication that we have, the stronger our team will be. The easier it will be to ask for help, and the easier it will be to offer help, and the easier it will be to carry on expressing gratitude. And as I was saying, if you think about cats and dogs, cats are very defensive. If you approach a cat, it's going to do one of three things. It's going to fight, it's going to attack you, it's going to flight, it's going to run away, or it's going to freeze and not do anything. And these are very negative behavior patterns. But if you think about a dog is a much more social animal. A dog's much more pro-social. So it encourages positive curiosity. And if we have a culture of gratitude, we'll be positively curious. I'll come on to positive curiosity in a moment. Yeah, it creates a climate of honesty and openness. As I say, the gratitude and the psychological safety go hand in hand. They work really well together. And if we're practicing positive curiosity, we'll also be practicing active listening, listening with purpose. We're not just listening so that we can think of a reply. we're listening because we're really interested in what the person's got to say. And a culture of gratitude helps people listen more actively. And we don't have any hidden agendas. We're very honest and open, and we can use that gratitude to reinforce that culture, that workplace environment. And it helps us become more productive. It helps us to achieve targets. So sometimes using the power of gratitude and psychological safety, we can even achieve more than we would actually expect, because we've got the backing of our fellow team members and stuff. And yeah, it really does help us to build more stronger and cohesive teams. The more we dwell on a relationship, the stronger that relationship becomes. The more we think about it, the better it will be. So if we're using gratitude to encourage psychological safety, then the whole team's going to be working really well together, really. And when we talk about psychological safety and gratitude, the first thing, we can thank people for being honest and open, for thanking people that they want to come and talk to us, because psychological safety, it's all about being together as a team. So people, yeah, if they've opened up to us, the first thing we need to say is thank you for opening up. And any problem can become an opportunity if we're using the power of gratitude. Yeah, thank people for their effort, and if they don't reach the target, we can say, right, well, that's where we're going next, and that's our next target. And we can also turn compliments into gratitude as well. It makes the compliment a lot stronger. So instead of saying, "Oh, well done," thank you for your hard work. Thank you for meeting the deadline. Thank you for getting that report in on time. All of those things make the compliment stronger, make it more powerful, really. And as I was saying, positive curiosity. If we're using gratitude, we'll be positively curious without being nosy. Checking in, checking in on each other. Thanking people for the hard work, and keeping the team together, basically. And if we're positively curious, it's genuine interest, and it connects really well with active listening and psychological safety. If we're genuinely interested in what people have got to say, then they'll be helped. And always offer help. One thing on active listening, only offer to listen if you've got time to hear what people have got to say. And I've often had that. You go to someone with a problem, but they're playing with their phone, or they've got a meeting in 5 minutes. So always set aside time for that, and take the initiative. You don't have to wait for someone to ask for help in order to actually help them. These questions, I'm not actually going to ask for answers to. Just something to think about, really. So is your workplace environment psychologically safe? I know we're all probably going to answer yes to that, but try and think of examples of how the workplace is psychologically safe. What is it that you actually do that makes it such a good place to work? And there's always something else we can do to make it better. So what can we actually do to make these things better? To use the power of gratitude to make it even more psychologically safe. And there's absolutely always something we can do to improve things, isn't there? And as I said, using gratitude and focusing on those relationships really helps us build stronger teams. It makes us all connected and makes us feel part of something bigger. If we feel part of a team, we feel stronger, because it's not just us on our own. And being part of a team builds resilience as well. If I'm having a bad day and someone else notices that and they help me, it will help me bounce back quicker. If I know everyone's got my back and I've got theirs, we actually work as a stronger team. And this works in any industry, but I think, especially in social care, that this can be a big bonus, because we all have bad days, and sometimes we have to take on more than we would have done otherwise. I actually studied drama at university, so being an actor, being able to trust someone on stage, so if I forget my lines, they can come in and they know that I'm going to do the same. It makes it a lot easier going on stage. And practicing gratitude and psychological safety helps us to increase empathy and compassion. We can see the other person's difficulty. We can put ourselves in their shoes and work out how we can actually help them. And we can use gratitude to make meetings more powerful. We always say WWW, not the World Wide Web, but what went well. So if we start the meeting with a positive, because I've been to so many meetings where it starts straight, right, we got this problem, we got this problem, we got this problem. If we actually start the meetings with what went well, then everybody is buzzing from the very start of the meeting. And express gratitude at the start as well. So thank everyone for their efforts. If you're going to thank people individually, though, make sure you include everyone, because there's nothing worse than going to a meeting where everyone else gets a thank you for something that they've done, but you don't get a thank you yourself. so make sure that everyone's included. And I would always say go for a workshop style meeting, less condescending and hierarchical. Get people in groups, give people topics to discuss. Because really, if we put people in smaller groups, people might be more likely to speak up. Because I know I've got no problem with speaking in public, but some people are a bit more shy. So if you break the big meeting down into 3 or 4 smaller meetings, then everyone has an opportunity to have their voice heard, and they're not put on the spot. They're not having to talk quite as much. A couple of things that people often ask me about, things like, how do we start these conversations about well-being, and how often should we have these conversations? Well, I always think prevention is better than a cure, a preemptive strike, if you like. If we've already fostered a culture of psychological safety and gratitude, these conversations will just happen naturally. We won't have to force the issue. It's like, right, it's been 3 months. It's about time we had a well-being conversation. We can't really fix something now, but we can fix it for times in the future. So make sure that all our teams have a high level of psychological safety, and so that these conversations just happen naturally, whether that's in a meeting setup or whether it's in a more of a one-to-one thing. So workforce well-being, I thought we'll get back to psychological safety in a moment, but I think, so it helps to create a positive workplace culture, and we spend so much time of our lives at work. I think it's very important that it's a joy to come to work, and if the culture works very positive, it'll make it a lot easier for people to open up, and people will be happier in their jobs. And whenever the team is successful, celebrate it. Make a big thing of it, because it's those successes that's the reason why people come to work in the first place. So when something good happens, get the whole team together, go out and celebrate it. And certainly when I used to work in education, I always used to have a open door policy. I always used to keep the classroom door open, and at break time I'd stay in the classroom, so I was there if another one of the teachers wanted to come in and have a chat, or one of the students was struggling, whatever. And I think that, once again, that's the same as social care. Make it easy for people to approach you. And as I was saying, the more lines of positive communication that we have, the better. So yeah, make sure you're always there. And in some places where I work, there's like a employee assistance program, like a buddy system, so maybe pair people up so that not forcing the gratitude, but making it even easier for people to express gratitude. So right, you two are working together as a team within a team, if you like. So if he's got a problem, you help. If she's got a problem, you help. So that really helps. And as you can see on the screen, I'm going to come back to this at the end, but the TAP app is a really good way of reinforcing lines of communication. You can carry the power of gratitude in your pocket, and it's a really good way to thank you. Because when we started TAP, we were thinking more service user thanking service provider, but we realized that peer-to-peer recognition is very, very important. It really builds stronger teams, and it really helps with resilience and bounce back ability, and it's so easy to do. You can just pick up your phone, send someone a message. It takes less than a minute, really. But if you are going to have a well-being conversation, as I was saying, always good to have a coaching, encouraging style, more like a workshop than a formal meeting. And yeah, use personal examples to open up that discussion and to make it more personal. I would just say, if you be careful when you're choosing personal examples, so you don't want to be bragging, you don't want to be putting the other person down, but you do want to use those personal examples to show how you had a difficulty and how you overcame it. Because often setting an example is the best way to do it, really. And obviously, problems at work don't always start at work. Problems at work can be based on something that's happening outside of work. So if somebody wants to talk to you about their cat dying and you're there listening, make sure that you continue to listen and let the conversation take its own course, really. And yeah, it's good to have gratitude in meetings, but also it's good to have one-to-one. If someone comes to you with a problem, find somewhere quiet, turn off your phone, and listen to what they've got to say, basically. And so gratitude and workforce well-being then. So we know that if staff feel appreciated, so if we express gratitude and show that appreciation, staff are happier. And if staff are happier, then they're going to be more productive. According to the Social Market Foundation, 12% more productive. Showing gratitude also helps with staff retention and staff recruitment. If people know that they're going to be joining a happy, supportive team, then the job seems a lot a lot more attractive, really. And nobody wants to leave a happy team, do they? So if the whole team's happy, it will help keep staff there longer. It also boosts individual performance. Through self-reflection, we become better members of the team. If everybody else is pulling their weight, we want to pull our weight as well. And that affects the whole team performance, and the targets that we set can actually be reached a lot more easily if we're pulling together, and gratitude helps us to do that. As I said, yeah, if we're happier, we're more productive, and we're better. We deliver better care if we're kind. So if we're practicing deep gratitude and really looking for the kindness in others, then the care that's delivered will be better. And funnily enough, grateful people tend to look after themselves better. That they tend to be healthier. So they're probably eating better, sleeping better, getting regular exercise. They're going to be more punctual, and they're less likely to phone in sick. And I always say that gratitude is contagious. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So if we express gratitude, the person being thanked, it will encourage them to be kinder themselves, and they'll want to pass on that gratitude and thank someone as well. And I've got a few bits of information. In fact, I'm just going to show you one or two of the. Yeah, we can see that 69%. This is according to Oak Engage, who do a lot of market research. 69% of workers say that if they get recognition, they're more motivated to stay in their jobs. As I said, with staff retention, and voluntary turnover is a lot lower when there's a recognition-rich company. And as I was saying about individual performance, people say that 87% say that employee appreciation directly affects productivity, and in the care sector, better and kinder care. And if people are recognised at work, they're also highly engaged. Right, what I'm going to do, there are quite a few more slides, but as people are going to be able to see the slides afterwards, I'm going to, I'm just going to skip through them. I'm going to let people look at those. Later, we've got team performance, we've got employee happiness. Yeah, how the people who are customer facing, if they're engaged and they're appreciated, then it really improves the customer experience, or in the care sector, the service users experience. Yeah, let me just go. Like I say, I'll let people look at those slides in their own free time. Just get through these anymore. All right. Yes, and as I was saying, we've just released the second version of the Tab app, and we think it's a really good way to carry the power of gratitude in your pocket. You can thank anyone, anywhere, anytime. It also gives you an opportunity to read other people's messages of thanks, because one of the problems with gratitude sometimes is we don't really know how to express gratitude. We don't know what words to use or how long to make the message and stuff. So the Tap app's a really good way of expressing gratitude, receiving gratitude, and there's a wellbeing section which it's mostly written by yours truly. There are articles on gratitude, there are podcasts, there are radio shows, all sorts of things, all about gratitude. So you can listen to one of the podcasts while you're having a cup of coffee and sending messages of gratitude. And the IHSCM, very fortunate because what we're doing is we're allowing people, if your organisation wants to join TAP and use TAP, 30% off, and that includes a branded thanking wall. We moderate all the messages to make sure they're all positive. We don't have any negativity on the site. And if anyone wants an organisation to join TAP, visit info@thankandpraise.com and mention the IHSCM member discount. Right.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. That was amazing. Just a quick one on the discount. Just to put in perspective, so TAP is a social enterprise, so it's all about providing benefits for society. We're not a for-profit organisation, so already our annual fee is very low, from as little as £99. So this 30% discount is on top of that. So I just want to put that in perspective. It's a really good value platform to support well-being in the workforce. Thanks, Simon.
Right, thank you. All right, and any questions or comments or anything?
Well, just while everybody's gathering their thoughts, Simon, bravo, that was grand. All sorts of perfectly sensible info. I think quite a lot of it just reminding people about the power of being thankful to your co-workers and yourself for what you do. I suppose there's a frustration, isn't there? I mean, we are amongst like-minded people here, but the NHS annual staff survey is out next month, and I am not expecting a great picture to emerge in respect of the extent to which people feel valued and respected and acknowledged for their contributions. Because for whatever reason, we don't seem to do this terribly well. And I wonder why that might be. But I just wanted to kind of suggest that when those results come out, and they will be not great, I just ask people on this call, please don't get down about that. Please don't think that therefore this is a place not worth working in. What I would advocate you to think is, where you have the opportunity to change it. You have the opportunity to be the person who does demonstrably thank those around you for a job well done. You are the person who is empowered on a daily and weekly basis to find the positives in what's gone on, however dark and difficult your week or day may have been. And my encouragement to everybody on this call is be the pathfinder, be the person who's prepared to swim against the tide. Don't get sucked down by what I think is going to be a pretty critical set of results. You know, just fight against that. It's not you, it's not personal. This is about the organization as a whole. And the only way that the organization is going to change is by good people within making sure that they just do what they know to be right. So I just wanted to chuck that out there as a kind of a sop to what's going to be a tricky month, I think, in terms of how everybody, you can bank on it, all the big media outlets and so on, they're all going to kind of wade in behind, oh, here we go again, NHS is on its backside again. No, just fight against that, you know. Sorry, that was me on a bit of a mission there, Simon. Apologies.
No, that's fine. I always think with workforce well-being, and when people look at the results, they're looking now. Oh, what can we change now? But it might be that we need to start putting processes into action, so that next time we look at the results, they're all a lot better and the staff are happier.
Honestly, Simon, I think that there's umpteen processes in place. We're just, you know, for whatever reason, they're not embraced, they're not used universally. And my message to everybody on this call and anybody who you might come into contact with is, you know, when those results come out, don't join in the general malaise chat. Just say, well, do you know what? I do my bit. You know, I want to encourage and be positive and be thankful and give gratitude and acknowledge people's contribution. And it only needs one or two more people to be doing that, and we just start to develop this virtuous circle of improvement. So be unashamed when you're doing that. Mike Parrish, you got your hand up. Hello, Mike.
Thank you. Hello, John. And thank you, Simon. I got a lot out of that. I think it's a really good to reinforce some of the things that we do and actually improve some of the techniques that we can use through a system like this and some ideas. I wanted to give you two sides of this. For me, one of my bosses, this is the negative side, not of what this is about, but how an environment can be negative. There are many other things that are wrong with this manager, but on occasions when things are probably tough for him, he would say, "Don't bring me problems, bring me solutions." So it wasn't, well, it was an open door, but then you turn around and go out and you get nothing.
But nobody's prepared to walk through it, Mike.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's exactly what happened. People were they just knew that they weren't going to be received. And the other thing I'd say, if it's okay, and I'm talking from a particular perspective in terms of minorities in social environments, work environments, and in other sorts of environments, is how all of this is absolutely, for me, is essential. If people aren't doing this, the environment is not going to be productive, and I can see the negative impact of this on individuals. And I'm sure all of us have experiences of being on the receiving end of that, and also benefiting from doing the right thing and saying the right things to people. But those places need to be safe places as well, in terms of recognizing that people might not be the obvious fit in those environments. So in a work environment, you might be different because of your social background, sexual, gender, whatever it is, racial backgrounds, different backgrounds, that adds an extra dynamic to being in a place where people are either accepting a completely 100% all above, or whether you feel that you're having to overachieve in order to get into that. So that was my thing, is about safe spaces. And I think that goes hand in hand with this, because if the organization is doing what you're saying, is innately and properly safe, but it is also recognizing people come into those places feeling unsafe because of their circumstances, and they may need a bit of extra kind of encouragement and support and being praised and being made to feel worthwhile. Thank you.
Yeah, and we have to maybe even more advertising, marketing. Just say, this is a safe space. This is a safe space. Like say, people, even if it is safe, people initially feel that it's unsafe. So we have to keep reassuring them, and we can use gratitude to do that to make the space even safer. Really.
Thank you, Simon, and thank you, Mike, for your observation as well. Good stuff. And we should remember, we don't know typically the ins and outs and the intricacies of people's private lives. So when they come into work in the morning, we don't know necessarily what they've already had to put up with in their domestic environment. When they leave work in the evening, we don't know what they're going home to in their domestic environment. So the least we can do when they are in the work environment and they're working with us is to make them feel that they are appreciated and they're acknowledged and they're recognized and they're thanked for the efforts that they've made. All right, anybody else like to comment at all? All fairly quiet now. Okay, well, Simon, can I just say to you, thanks a million, my friend.
Absolutely.
I think you are an inspiration to many in terms of what you do and how you do it. I didn't know about your journey from to Skegness on your, what do you call it, your Tapmobile?
Tapmobile, yeah. We started in Liverpool, then went through Manchester, then Glossop, then Sheffield, then Worksop, then Lincoln, then Skegness.
We have a few sort of tales to tell on that one, John.
There's a few stories about that journey.
I think what was it? Being told off by the police as you were on a motorbay, I think at one point.
Yeah, I accidentally went down the A1 on my mobility scooter, which.
Well, I think they've every right to tell you off at that point, to be quite honest.
Officially, though, it's a registered road vehicle, and you can go down A roads on it. But I didn't need to go down the A1. That was.
I should darn well think not. Okay. Well, look, and with maybe another session of the Wellbeing Special Interest Group, we ought to get you on, and maybe you can show us some of those photos of your journey. That might be quite jolly.
Yeah,
For the rest of,
well,
thank you, Simon. For the rest of us, I think, as I said a moment or two ago, you know, the NHS staff survey results are going to come out later this month. I think they are going to be challenging to everybody involved. You may have seen that I wrote about the staff survey in my editorial last week, but one, and kind of wondering about why we go to so much trouble to ask people to complete what is, relatively speaking, a fairly long drawn out process, when we're getting kind of early to mid 40% completion rate, even with the considerable efforts that OD and comms teams go to try to persuade people to fill it in. And I hope you don't mind if you did read the editorial, then great. This is going to be a little bit dull, but it's interesting that when you look at James Timpson, the chief executive of Timpsons, who are obviously the key cutting and shoe repairs and that kind of stuff, little shops typically outside supermarkets and that kind of stuff. Very ethically based company, all sorts of commitments to things like the living wage and things like giving people who've had a difficult time, gone off beam a bit, a second chance in life. I love the kind of ethics that James brings to the organization. They do an annual staff survey. They ask one question of their 4,500 staff. And the one question is, to what extent do you feel happy with the support you receive from colleagues? He then asks them to score that from 1 to 10. And they kind of hoover up all of the results. Underneath that one question is a space where you've got unlimited number of words to write why you have scored your answer to the question, are you happy with the support that you receive from colleagues in the way that you have done? He receives an 87% completion rate, and they use that for all sorts of campaigns, workshops, training courses, etc., to try to boost the extent to which people do feel happy with the support they receive from colleagues. By the way, if you're a manager and you achieve all of your financial targets, but you miss or you have a poor result in respect of what James Timpson calls the Timpson Happiness Index, then you're in for a difficult conversation. In other words, finance does not trump happiness, quite the contrary. Just think it's a really interesting kind of an approach that they're taking. Maybe one of the key things we need to do is consider whether across the NHS and social care for that matter, we should be really more homed in on happiness of our individuals rather than a number of torturous things about the extent to which they feel engaged, blah, 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 blah. Just a thought, but yeah, James Timpson, look him up, Google it. There's some fantastic stuff online about him. Okay, anybody got any final comment to make? Because that's our workforce wellbeing special interest group for today. I do hope, if there's nothing else, that you've enjoyed it, you found it useful. If you'd like to contact Simon, I'm sure he'd be more than happy for you to do so. Maybe wish you all a very happy St. David's Day, if you're from Wales or at all connected with the Welsh nation. I am singing in my choir this evening in a sold-out concert here in Cowbridge. 300 people coming to listen to the one and only Cowbridge Male Voice Choir singing for St. David's Day. But beyond that, I hope you have a super duper weekend. Do get out and have a bit of a walk, embrace nature. Spring is just upon us, folks. Make the most of it. All right. Thanks, everybody.